Ada. Okay. So from there, I became a senior systems administrator, where I had the responsibility of managing young people, right? And I started as a Windows / Linux server administrator, right? And then at one point in time, there was a technology that was new, storage area network admin, where I joined Dangote then as a senior storage area network administrator, right? And then from there, I progressed from there to Huawei, and then to a company called Lotus Beta, and then where I am today as the head of infrastructure, right? The journey has been quite interesting. Cloud computing over the years has been quite, it's a technology that has kind of been there, but it was later popularized by one of the big companies in the US. And I'll go ahead and share my slide now. It's coming. Good network. So you are here today because you are looking at the possibility of transitioning into the cloud space. You are looking at, taking up a career in cloud computing, right? IT is very wide. You have network experts, you have security experts, you have a whole range, software developers, DevOps, and all that, right? You can still leverage this skill if you have this existing skill on the cloud space, right? So what we've had traditionally over the years is that we, right? But what businesses are leveraging now is a remote data center somewhere, right? So there are some organizations that are providing that service called cloud computing, where infrastructure, including server storage, is hosted somewhere. All you have to do is just create an account and get on board immediately. Okay. Sorry for the delay, because it's night network.
Yeah, sure. Please slide. Please slide. Okay. Zoom is turned down. Sorry. To share. As impossible. Okay.
Okay. Sorry, I apologize for that delay. Okay, without further ado, I will proceed we have about an hour, 30 minutes to our session, right? So it's important to just understand exactly what cloud computing is about, right? So you can have some context. Some of you might, after this session, take that, make the conscious effort to start a career path along cloud computing. And I can tell you it's quite rewarding, right? I have been there. I'm still there. Like I said, I started from somewhere and then I transitioned into the cloud space. And I haven't regretted it ever since. So, what is cloud computing? Okay, so what is cloud computing? Understand have the basic knowledge of what cloud computing is. And then, you get to understand that there are various services and resources that go beyond just computing stuff on the cloud. There are tools and services that help you with analytics, with Internet of Things, with DevOps, So it's a very wide field that, you can be a jack of all trades, but you shouldn't need to be. For example, in a traditional data center, you'd be a network engineer, right? You don't necessarily need to be a security person. So the same thing applies to cloud, right? If you have that knowledge of networking on-premise, you can also transition that into cloud. The only difference here is that you're not in control of that data center. The big providers are in control of that, and then they give you access to do what you need to do. Either it's networking, either it's DevOps, software development, and a whole range of suit. So what is cloud computing again? This is the technology that allows the delivery of various services and resources over the internet. So you can have your business in Lagos, and have your own portion of a data center somewhere in the US or Europe or somewhere in Africa, South Africa, for instance, and be running your business. So what this does is it takes a whole lot of stress off you, the business, in terms of managing your hardware infrastructure, because it can be quite expensive in this day and age when you're managing your own infrastructure. There are factors you have to consider purchasing your hardware, because we are not manufacturing servers and storage appliances and network devices in Nigeria, we have to import them, right? And they cost some good amount of dollars. And it's not easy when you purchase those things. You have to set it up, and then there'll come a point in time when it will reach its own end of life, maybe 4 or 5 years. And then you have to think of, resetting the system, right? But with cloud, all that is taken care of by the provider. Okay, all you just need to do is just sign up, use whatever you need to use, and then be on the go, pay as you use, right? So if you need to deploy a new solution and you have a data center, and you've maximized what you currently have in place, then you need to start thinking of upgrading and bringing in new hardware, and you can imagine what that cost will be. and it's quite on the expensive side, right? So businesses are not finding it funny because of the forex rates, and something that you'd spend maybe on an average, maybe $4,000, $5,000 a month managing your infrastructure and your data center. You probably just spend maybe $200 a month utilizing the cloud platform, right? Spin up as many virtual machines as you want. Network them, spin up other devices. If you're a company that is looking into analytics, run analytics resources of the cloud. Because if you are computing very large data sets, then you're talking about strong, powerful hardware that you need to have on premise. And it can be quite on the expensive side, right? So cloud computing also eliminates the need for on-site hardware and software by hosting data and applications on remote servers, which I mentioned earlier. It's not about storing something here locally where you are. It's about leveraging these existing resources outside of the country or even the continent that you reside or your business resides, right? And take advantage of that. So there are millions of customers who are leveraging this. Customers are coming on board every day. You have new businesses that are starting up. You have matured startups. You have small businesses. You have large and corporate organizations. Everybody understands the need to transition from on-premise to cloud. Now, if you look at the cost of maintaining your data center on-premise, you'll be talking about power. You'll be paying for power, right? The tariff is going up every night. You'll be looking at having some kind of redundant power, maybe generator. You're running diesel. Your data center needs to be online 24/7. 24/7. So you're spending so much on diesel, and probably you have a third power backup, inverters and all that. There's a time period that you need to replace those batteries and all that. So it can be quite on the expensive side, and businesses are directing a lot of profits that they earn in maintaining their data centers. So why not take that profit that you make and direct it more into other operations of your business, and then leave the infrastructure side of it to the cloud, where you're paying, almost next to nothing every month. So organizations are jumping on board, and they're really benefiting from it. So users can access these resources on demand, right? If you want to jump on board today, there's nothing stopping you. There are portals, there are consoles available for the provider where you just go and sign up, right? You don't need to make any upfront payment. You just jump on board and begin to utilize resources and services that the cloud provides. Virtual machines, virtual network, storage, IoT services, analytics, and a host of others, right? So there is zero cost, right? No barrier to entry. Be you an individual, be you a small business, be you a startup, be you a large organization who has not yet transitioned, right? There is no politics about it, right? All you just need to go is sign up for an account, and you begin to use it immediately. And then you get your bill at the end of the month, and you settle your bill. $50, $100, depending on what you have spawned up. And it's very convenient for small businesses, individuals to use, right? And then when you get that on board, you begin to enjoy the value that the cloud platforms provide, right? So users in this case can be individuals or businesses. So characteristics of cloud computing. So for cloud computing, the cloud computing platforms that we have, some of these characteristics, on-demand self-service, broad networks access. That means, your resources are available over the internet from various devices, from your laptop, from your mobile phone, from your tablets. If you're an administrator of your portal, you can easily, from your devices, just connect, create a virtual machine, create some instances, and be on the go where you are. So you can work remotely. You don't need to go to any office premises, right? That is the beauty of one of the having a career in cloud computing. You can basically work from anywhere, right? As long as you have internet connection where you are, you'll be able to work. And a lot of businesses are also adopting remote workers, right? Because it's cheaper for them, where they don't. If you're not going to an office premise somewhere where they need to pay constant bill for lights, security, and all that, you simply work from your home. And then maybe they give you some stipend every month for internet connection, and you're good to go, right? So that's the beauty, and the remote work these days. So you even have situations where even foreign companies are beginning to leverage people from Africa and Nigeria as remote cloud professionals to manage their infrastructure, right? And that gives you an opportunity to earn in dollars or foreign currency, right? So you're not limited to where you are. You can travel to the UK tomorrow and still retain your job. As long as you are connected, you have your account, and you have that skill, right? You can begin to deploy whatever you need to deploy, manage, monitor, and administer your workloads, right? On-demand self-service users, you can provision and manage resources as needed. Once you get that skill, once you get that training, it's very easy to do all that. Rapid elasticity. Resources can be quickly scaled up or down to meet demand. So like I was saying earlier, if you have your traditional data center where you have a server, 2 servers, and you've maxed it out, then you have to think of purchasing another hardware, another server, and that cost can be quite high, or you need to purchase some components of the server, like the memory, hard disk, extra hard disk space, so those come at a cost, and you may not get it quickly, especially if it's not available here in Nigeria. Then you have to get a supplier who would, if they have the device, that's fine. If they don't have it, then they have to order it from, outside of the country. And it may take anywhere from 2 to 3 weeks before it gets here, right? But leveraging the cloud, within 10 minutes, you have your resources, you have your virtual machine set up. You want to increase storage space, just with the click of a button, it's done, right? You want to add a firewall, you want to do this, within minutes, it's done. So it's a software-defined data center where everything, once you click something, an automated process run, provisions what you require, and then you have access, and you're able to use your resources as much as you want. And then the last one, measured service. So usage is metered, like I said earlier. You are billed for only what you consume. So what you have is a pay-as-you-go situation, right? So the cost can vary every month, right? Maybe you pay $100 this month. You can pay $80 the next month. You can pay $40. And why is that? Based on how you use them. So if you're not using it 24/7 for 30 days, usually you'd have a cost of like maybe 2 cents per hour for running a machine of a particular size, maybe a 1-core by 4 GB RAM, for instance. And that cost comes down to 200. And your business is, your customers do not need to be able to access your solution after close of business, right, till the next morning. So it only makes sense that from the hours of 7 in the morning to 6 in the evening, when you close business and when your users are actively connecting to do one other thing or one thing or the other on your application or your solution, right, they are able to do that effectively. So after that time, you can shut down that resource. That period that you shut down the resource, you are no longer being charged, right? Which is why you see a reduction in cost in the next month, right? You shut it down and then you start it up the next morning. Or you can even automate that process where you automatically have that resource shut down at a certain time and restarted at a time period in the morning. So it's metered, like you said, you pay for what you consume, right? If you don't want to consume anything anymore, maybe you utilize that particular resource for test or development purpose, and you've used it after 7 days. There's no obligation. You can delete it straight. And when you delete it, that means you have zero cost coming to you for the next month until you create a new service and then have it up and running. Then the meter starts reading, and then you are billed accordingly. So it's very flexible, right? So be you a startup, a new business, or it's the same model for everybody, right? You pay for what you consume. Makes it easy. Or like if you have your data center and your users, your employees, or your customers are not plugging in at maybe 12 midnight to 6 in the morning, you can't shut down, right? Because your data center needs to be up and running 24/7. So you're paying for power that you're not getting, nobody's utilizing it at that time, or you're paying for cooling because the cooling system needs to be working top notch. At the end of the month, you get your bill, but you don't have, no profit came in at that time period because nobody was using it, right? So that's a lot of wasted resources there. Unfortunately, everything is going up, the cost of fuel and all that. So it's quite difficult to run a modern data center in the age that we are today. So after what is cloud computing, running different services that is available to you over the net from anywhere you are around the country and within any time zone, then why cloud computing? I already mentioned some advantages earlier. So here is Jack and Paul. Jack is a new entrepreneur, he's a new founder, and he's looking to, he has an idea for a solution that he's looking to build, or he's already built it. He wants to host it on the cloud where it will be accessible for customers to consume that solution. But he has no idea about cloud computing. There is Paul on the other side, who is listening to him. So he says, "Hi, Paul, I'm about to start a small company. Can you list down the resources I will need to set up an on-premise infrastructure?" Right? And then Paul says, "Why not set things up on the cloud?" Right? So a lot of people are naive as well, or do not have the knowledge that there is a cloud computing service available for their use, right? You can imagine somebody who's trying to start a business, a small company. You probably rent a building somewhere or an office space, convert one of those spaces into a data room or data center, install adequate cooling there, security, electricity, get a backup power supply. That's just for a small business that hasn't kicked off. So you can imagine all these costs, that are already coming in without him having started making money from the business, right? And his colleague is saying, why not set things up on the cloud? Okay. This person leveraging on-premise, like I said, would have to purchase a lot of hardware, internet, and all that, which might take anything from 4 to 6 weeks before the software developers now come in and start developing, which might take maybe about 3 to 4 months, blah, 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 blah. And then their competition within 10 minutes has already created their infrastructure. Their developers are already on board coding. So maybe within 1 month, they are done. So who would capture the market faster in this case? So it's very obvious that the company leveraging cloud computing will capture the market faster, and you want to be able to ensure that you capture customers as soon as possible, and the cost that of using this solution, company A that is on-premise will most likely charge higher for that same solution than company B would, because they are spending on cooling, they are spending on power. So they have to charge you all that. They are spending on fuel, generator, diesel. So they have to charge you. That cost has to go to you, the customer. And that cost will be invariably higher than somebody who is leveraging the cloud, right? On-premise, as a business, you have to hire a team for hardware and maintenance. Server hardware, network, storage. You have to get personnel, trained personnel, people with experience to help manage that infrastructure, and maintaining it as well. But for the cloud, it can just be you. Just you, a single individual, just you, the founder of a business. Just get a bit of knowledge around cloud computing, how to deploy virtual machines, how to deploy network, how to allocate disk storage to your machine, and then be on the go. So that extra cost is not there. What you're only paying for is the cost, the time the resource is running. That's all you are concerned about. For on-premise, you have to allot huge space for servers. Probably need to buy a rack. Racks are not cheap anymore. Buy a rack unit. Buy your rack servers, put it in there. So if your room is not big enough, of course, you have to think of how you can get a larger space to host your infrastructure. But in this case, on the cloud, you don't need to purchase a rack and send it anywhere. Everything is already installed there, waiting for you, the customer, to just come and take a piece of the pie, and leverage it as much as possible to ensure the smooth running of your business and availability of your solution to your customers. Poor data security is there as well. We don't have a lot of security experts like that in Nigeria. So sometimes you hear cases of malware coming in, ransomware, hackers gaining access into your workloads, but with the cloud platforms, they invest a lot on data security because they are keeping customer data. So they can't afford to be lacking, right? And they're getting people's data missing or corrupted, right? So they have over 200 years of experience amongst people who are security specialists, who keep monitoring the cloud environment day in, day out, because the bad actors, the hackers, they're not resting on their OS. That's how they feed, that's how they make money, trying to target infrastructure, trying to bring it down temporarily and try to get some money. In this case, what we call ransom, to help you release your system, right? And you're paying some heavy cryptocurrency for that, So it's not helpful at all. Businesses have also taken that conscious effort to migrate to the cloud because of this singular factor, for instance, where their workloads are better secured than what they have on-premise. Takes longer implementation time on the on-premise, like I said, before you get your infrastructure into the country and then before it is installed and deployed. It's much faster on the cloud to implement or deploy hardware, virtual machines and networks and the likes, right? So I'm just using virtual machine and network, but there are a whole range of resources available that you can manage, right? You can be, like I said, a cloud network engineer. Your focus is just on managing the network. You can be just a security expert where you're managing the firewall, you do constant monitoring, you check, you do vulnerability scans and all that, just to see if your systems are well protected and not being exploited, right? So that current skill that you have, you can still leverage it on the cloud space. So Jack tells Paul, this thing takes a while. Okay, so he's been able to convince him. He tells him, you're right, cloud computing is better than on-premise, right? So cloud computing is the way to go. On-premise, that's a no there for him. You know, having heard so much and gotten so much feedback from Paul, he's made a conscious decision to go with cloud computing, right? And which a lot of businesses are doing today. So because they are adopting the cloud, they need people with those skills to come in and manage what they have, their workloads on the cloud, right? Which is where you can come in, because like I said, businesses are transitioning every day. Startups, you know, are being developed every day. You have new founders coming up with different innovative solutions, and they are coming in, and they need people who they can hire to take care of what they have running on the cloud. And then types of cloud computing. So apart from the what and the why, you know, you need to understand that cloud computing, there are different classes of it, right? And under your cloud computing category, you have your deployment model. So please understand this very well. You have your deployment model and you have your service model, right? For deployment model, you have what is called the public cloud, you have the hybrid cloud, and you have the private cloud, right? And I'll explain that in a few slides. And then for your service model, you have what is called IaaS, PaaS, and SaaS. IaaS is an acronym for Infrastructure as a Service. Infrastructure as a Service. PaaS is Platform as a Service. And then SaaS, Software as a Service, right? So all these are models that are found on the cloud. I'll also give examples for that to make it clearer to you. So let's talk about the deployment model, which is the public, hybrid, and the private cloud. And I'm going to use an example for that. So let me consider an example of vehicles to explain it. So you have a bus, okay, or public transport. Well, this was the picture I could find. This is a school bus which conveys children from their homes to, it's for public use, or it could be, the local buses that we have that transport people from a destination from where they are to their destination. And then you have your own car, your own personal car, right? Then you have a taxi. Okay, the bus, the personal car, and the taxi. So what does this mean? For the bus, you can liken it to a public cloud because it's available for everybody to use, right? It's accessible to everyone. There's no discrimination there. As long as you are ready and willing to use that service, that platform, you just come in and you're given a part of the cloud space for you to do whatever you need to do with it, and then pay for what you use, right? Even that keyword public, of course, what it denotes is that every Tom, Dick, and Harry has the opportunity to partake of that service. For the private cloud, this is owned by a single person or a single business or organization, right? So it's private to them. They have their data center, hosted with them or with another business that is leasing space for renting of space for hosting customers' infrastructure, right? But it is their own. They are not sharing with anybody, hence the keyword private there. Okay, so this is owned by a single business. And then the hybrid cloud, if you look at renting a private taxi, right? What this means is that you are leveraging a bit of public, you are leveraging a bit of private. Now, why you use hybrid cloud really is, if you look at the context where some businesses need to make their solutions available to the general public, everybody, right? But because of the type of industry that they are in, they're not allowed to host their data. It could be customer data, it could be financial data, due to regulatory reasons or compliance. Some financial industries, insurance, and so on. You cannot host certain data outside of the region, or the country that you live in. It's a no, right? So in that case, we leverage public cloud for public-facing application, and then private cloud for your internal data that you cannot afford to share outside of the country that you reside. So a combination of that is what you call a hybrid cloud. So a public cloud, as you see there, you have the individuals here, or represents the business, connecting from anywhere around the world to the cloud, making use of the services that are available for use. So the cloud infrastructure is made available to the general public over the internet, as long as you have internet, wherever you are in your country. And you are working as a cloud practitioner, and you're making good money. You can decide to relocate to somewhere in Europe, and still continue to maintain your job. And you can even work for several companies, because you're not having to go to, an office premises somewhere. You can work for 3, 4, as long as you don't burn out, if they need anything done on the cloud, you're able to do it. You face the next one, you do it, and then you get paid from different sources, right? So that's one of the good things that it offers, right? So example of cloud provider. You probably are aware of some. Have GCP, as too numerous to mention here. There's VMware Cloud. There's Alibaba. There's Oracle Cloud as well. So there are quite a number of them. There's DigitalOcean. There are quite a number of them that you can take advantage of, learn how to deploy on those cloud spaces, and possibly get hired by people who are looking for skilled persons to manage this environment. Then to the private cloud, it's much more secured. It's usually located, within the country of residence, within a facility somewhere that is well protected. So this kind of infrastructure is exclusively owned by an organization, right? And it can be managed by that particular organization, or they can outsource it to a third party somewhere. And of course, this may exist on-premise where they are, or outsourced to maybe a company that can lease office spaces that they can leverage as a data center, right? So that is private. It's not open to the public. Not everybody can use it, just privately for the organization. And then finally, hybrid. So like I explained earlier, it's a combination of your public cloud and your private cloud. right? It consists of the functionalities of both of them. Some businesses, some organizations opt for private clouds when sensitive information is involved. Like I said, there are certain, because of the type of business you do or the industry you are in, you are just not allowed to post some certain data outside of the country. And if you are caught, you'll be penalized, right? So it's a way to safeguard your data within the country that your business is based in. If not, I mean, you can have your data on the public cloud. You can have your applications running there 24/7. Nobody is concerned. But if you have data that is being generated that is classified as private, then please, you need to have some kind of private cloud where you can have that data stored, right? So that's it about hybrid cloud as well. It's about integration between public and private. Now over to the service model. Please, do we have some clarity on the deployment models? What it means, public, private, you will hear those terms a lot. And I mean, once you just hear public cloud, it's available, private, and then hybrid. And then the service models, this area is what I mentioned around IaaS, PaaS, and SaaS. IaaS is an acronym for Infrastructure as a Service, right? So those are the services that they provide. Infrastructure, such as your machine, your virtual machine that you need to deploy Windows operating system on or Linux operating system on, and then deploy your application. So it's running on a virtual machine. So they classify that as infrastructure, right? So it's as a service. They sell it to you. You say you want a virtual machine that has 2 CPUs and then 8 GB RAM, right? And then you just select what you want. You click, it starts the deployment process. And then when it's completed, you have access to your machine from anywhere around the country. You just log in with your credentials and, you begin to utilize what you have. And then PaaS. PaaS refers to platform as a service. So this is a situation where they offer you what you call managed service. Rather than you taking ownership, for instance, of the operating system, where you are thinking about patching the operating system or upgrading the operating system or monitoring the disk space or increasing it. Everything is managed on your behalf, right? All you just need to do is just bring in your software or your application, just install it there and then be on the go. So there is not much work for you to do there. So it's a platform as a service. They provide you the platform. You tell them you want or Linux or whatever, you deploy it. You have your credential, you log in, and that's it. It's a very simple process, right? And then lastly, software as a service, where they already have the software, rather than you bringing in your software, maybe a CRM or ERP, right? So they bring in, they've already created the software. All you just need to do is come and subscribe to the use of that software. So they have their infrastructure. They've already deployed the operating system. They've installed everything. So you just come in, say you want it. They tell you pay $20 every month. You pay for it, you get your credentials, and then you can use it, right? So there are so many software that are being provided on that model. Some of which are like your popular email, Outlook. Yahoo is a software as a service. Gmail, Google, you're not creating anything, but you are coming to use that service and you're paying for it, right? ERP software, Microsoft Dynamics, a whole lot of them are available. So if you're thinking of building your own software, you may choose not to if you find out that the software is available for your use already, right? So IaaS, use IaaS when you need to provision virtual computing resources like server, storage, and networking infrastructure. That's what it means, right? So over here, you have to make the, take the action of creating a virtual machine, creating the network, dividing them into subnets, creating your storage. Maybe you want a 100 gigabyte operating system disk. You have to do that. Maybe you want 5 terabyte data disk. That's the extra disk. On Windows, you see it as drive C and drive D, right? So all that you are responsible for, and you're responsible for managing it on your own, right? But with PaaS, right, everything is deployed on your behalf. The operating system, the disk space, the storage, everything. All you just get is the credential to log into your the platform that you need to use and then be on the go. So you choose PaaS when your focus is on developing and deploying applications. You don't want to bother yourself with the task of managing the infrastructure. You just want to bring in your code or your software and then deploy and begin to use. Let the provider take care of all that, right? And a lot of businesses are leveraging that so that they don't really need to bother about when the disk space is low, right? Because sometimes, even on your laptop, if the hard disk space is filled up, you have cases sometimes where your system might not be able to come up, right? And that's one of the downsides to managing your own infrastructure yourself. If you don't take the time to log in and check that out of 100 gig I have, 80% has been used. And then the next 3 months, 90%. And then you don't monitor it, it will shut down the system, right? If you don't have somebody that you've hired to do that within a business, right? But for the PaaS side, everything is managed. The system checks, oh, the storage space is automatically scales up for you, automatically adds this, automatically, does a lot of automation on your behalf. So you don't need to worry your head concerning managing the infrastructure. And then for SaaS, which is software as a service, you opt for SaaS when you want to access software applications over the internet on a subscription basis. For example, a customer relationship management, ERP, enterprise resource planning, some email tools and all that, and some other collaboration tools. You just come in, pay your subscription fee, and then use the software. So like I mentioned earlier, infrastructure as a service, ideal for businesses. You can be a startup, you can be a small business, you can be an enterprise, a large enterprise. And you're looking to build your own software and services on flexible, scalable infrastructure, right? The beauty of it, yeah.
Just like CRM or CRM.
Customer relationship management software, CRM. So you look at infrastructure as a service, and these are just examples of infrastructure as a service inside of that tablet that you see there, right? On AWS, you have EC2. They call them EC2 instances. They're like virtual machines. Same thing on Azure. You have the VM logo there. They call their own virtual machine. Amazon calls theirs EC2. And then you have Google Cloud, where they refer to theirs as Google Compute Engine. So they all basically do the same thing, right? But because they are different companies, they have their own names, right? Because of course they have to show that they are different, right? So when you go to somewhere and you say, oh, my EC2 instance, you already know that person is referring to the AWS platform. Oh, my virtual machine, my app service, you already know they are talking about, They do the same thing, but they just have different terminologies, that's all. So, like I said, also, PaaS simplifies the development process by providing tools, frameworks, and a platform for building, testing, and deploying your application. Like I said, you bring in your code, you deploy it onto the platform that has already been created for you, you run it, and be on the go. So example of this is on the EBS, Amazon is EBS, Google App Engine, Microsoft Azure App Service. Right, so you don't have access to all like the infrastructure as a service where you can remote desktop into a machine. do you understand? Have you tried to remote desktop? Do you understand that time? When you need to access the operating system from, maybe you have a server somewhere, and you want to access the server from your system. We have a technology called remote desktop. Most client systems have it, right? So where you are, you just run that remote desktop software, and then it logs you in as if you are right in front of the server. So everything is displayed for you right here, right? But for the PaaS platform or the model, you don't have access to the OS because you are not doing anything. They are managing it for you. So there's a restriction there, right? So all you need to do is that they have a way that you can bring in your code or your software and then push it into the platform and then configure accordingly, and then it begins to run, right? So that is the difference between IaaS and PaaS. And then SaaS. Microsoft has a lot of SaaS solutions. Office 365, you're familiar with your Office suite or your systems, your Microsoft Word, your PowerPoint, your Excel. So they also offer them online as well. So they are software as a service. You just register for them, or you pay for that license, and you're able to access your Excel from anywhere around the world. You're able to access your Word. Your Gmail is an example of your software as a service. Your Google Drive or your Google Drive or your OneDrive is a storage cloud service where you need to upload certain information or files, so that without even going to your laptop, you need to travel somewhere. So without even going to your laptop, or you don't have it. Once you get to your destination, and then you go to that site, the OneDrive site or the storage site. Another popular one is Dropbox. You just simply connect, download whatever files you need to download to that system, and then use it to do whatever you need to do, right? So that's software as a service. They provide that the software is already ready for your use. You just need to pay and consume that solution. So differences between IaaS and SaaS. On my left here, the extreme column here, which is on-premise, right? So from the application to networking, which is mostly what happens on your data center, right? You are responsible for it 100%. Okay? You bring in a network expert to set up your routers and your switches and your hubs, and then you bring in your storage area network administrator who will set up your storage and connect it to your servers. You have your server administrators as well, maybe Windows server or Linux server, or somebody who is conversant with both, setting up the servers and ensuring that it's able to connect to the storage and also be on the network as well. And then you can also virtualize, right? So you can have a very strong machine with a high number of resources in terms of memory, in terms of disk space, in terms of processor, right? So we have some virtualization technology that rather than using just this one machine or server for just one application, right? You can deploy several virtual machines on it. So something that ordinarily maybe is running one application, you can use it to run 10 applications, and they will all seem like they are running on different infrastructure, different hardware infrastructure on their own. So that's what is called virtualization, right? You have the parents, the host operating system, and then you deploy a virtualization technology like hypervisor for Windows, which is called the Hyper-V. If anybody has heard of Hyper-V before, you have that technology there. Once you have the Hyper-V installed, you can create as many virtual machines as you want and deploy different software on it, and it will seem to the end user like it's all coming from the same place, whereas that is not the case. So that's what happens on the cloud. For every machine that you request for, they can't give you a physical hardware. Although if you're a big company and you choose to have your own physical hardware, they can make that consideration for you, but you pay for that, you know. But what you have is virtual machine. You come in, I want a machine, and I want Windows Server 2019 on it. I want an operating system disk space of 200 gig. I want a data disk of 500 gig. You are choosing all that, you know, in your portal, clicking next. This, I want to do this, add this for me, add this for me. So by the time you click deploy, you wait for just a few minutes, usually less than 15 minutes. And then to tell you your machine has been created, where, you know, you have your credentials now. While you're during the creation process, you would have supplied the username and password that you want, because they can't give you that. Username and password is a security, is a sensitive information that even they don't keep, right? So if you lose your password for whatever reason, they won't recover anything for you, right? Because it's part of the business model. They don't want you to come tomorrow and say something is stolen from my system, I will hold you responsible. So as long as you know that they don't keep that information, then you know you can't blame them for everything. So you're responsible for keeping your password safe and effectively stored somewhere. You know, and not share it with everybody. Usually you would have an admin who is managing such systems, and then not sharing that information with everybody, you know, and of course your password must be strong as well. So for on-premise, you are taking care of everything. Yes, go ahead, please. Yes. Sorry? Yes. Even on-premise, yes. You usually have, even on-premise, yes. Anyway, you usually have somebody who is designated as the admin, the super admin. You know, not everybody should be able to log into servers. So maybe somebody is designated as the super admin, and then he has an assistant in case he's not available within the premises, right? Like if I have a server and you're just working as, within the business, you're just working as maybe a salesperson, and you have your sales software there. You have no business with having that password for the server, which the company is using to run the operation, right? So it's usually a closed, guarded secret. Once it leaks, maybe you store it somewhere on a paper and you put it in your drawer. You know, an admin should never do that. Anybody can get to your drawer, find that information, cause havoc, and you'll be in trouble because you are the custodian of that information, right? So you have to be able to ensure that, you know, certain things that you keep away from everybody. So is that clear? So for on-premise application to networking, it's your responsibility. Now, when you go to the cloud, which is the next thing in deployment models there, right? That part, which is colored orange up there, is managed by you, right? Your operating system, you take care of it. Like I said, you're responsible. So while at the back end, they will manage the network infrastructure, they will manage the storage, they will manage the hardware, the virtualization itself. The operating system, it's you that will choose when you are deploying, whether you want a Windows operating system or a Linux or Unix, right? And you're responsible for managing it. You know, if there are periodic patches that you need to do to secure the system better, you are responsible for it, and not the provider or the vendor in this case, right? So while you're responsible for the top 5, the provider is responsible for the bottom 4. And then if you go to PaaS, like I said, they are managing the OS, your middleware, your runtime, virtualization. All you're just doing is bringing your data and application and just deploying it on there. Patching, they are responsible for running security updates. If it's Windows, if it's Linux boxes, patches that will secure the system. You know, a lot of things, they do it, it's automated on the background, you know. So they do it on your behalf. That's the category of service that you want to manage the, but for the PaaS, right? Sometimes you might need to install a third-party tool on the operating system, right? Then you know that you have to consider infrastructure as a service because you have access to the OS, you're in charge of taking care of it. But for PaaS, you don't have access to that, and they won't grant you access to the operating system for anything. That's not the way the model works. So if you feel that you have some kind of service that you need to deploy on the operating system, then you'd have to consider infrastructure as a service and not platform as a service. So you weigh the pros and cons. You think about exactly what you want. Or for instance, if you are deploying for a client, you have to listen to what they need and be able to advise them accordingly, which is what I do as a cloud solutions architect. We provide solutions based on the needs that the people have, the business or the client have, and we advise them to go with IaaS, to go with PaaS, to go with software as a service, and a whole range of other suits that helps them take care of their concerns. Security-wise, performance-wise, cost optimization, redundancy, a whole lot of things, right? So you have to be able to listen to what the customer desires and be able to say, okay, these components on the cloud will, provide you with what you intend to achieve leveraging the cloud platform, right? And that's just one area. Go ahead. Okay.
I understand the ability to explain. I understand the key, the ability to. So I know that
yeah.
That small schools can do.
Yes.
So that because like this now that the cloud architect, we want to tell you, we want to
yes. Yes.
So I know that the school can be the staff.
Yes.
It's very small with the time with the staff.
Even big businesses. Yeah.
So, but I'm here to really understand the IaaS that the infrastructure and the platform.
Okay.
And the platform
as a service. Okay.
Get it here. I'm trying to figure out what organization can use those platforms. I already understand.
Yeah.
The software as a
service. Okay. So let me put it like this. The software as a service is running on either IaaS or PaaS. On the back end, it's all infrastructure, right? So because they've created the Google suite of software, if you don't want to use Google suite of software, then you have to invest in creating your own type of software that resembles Google, which you will now deploy using IaaS or PaaS. You understand? So that software, that's why they say software. That software is what we are serving you with. But we are serving you this infrastructure. If you don't want to pay for this, or you have another type of solution that we are not offering as software as a service, by all means, leverage IaaS or PaaS. So you get programmers, developers, communicators, another cost for you, especially if you're a small business, or unless you have the capacity to be able to pay that. You say, I want a solution that I can use to send mail and this and this. And then, of course, they get to work and code. Maybe they finish coding in about 6 months, right? And of course, it has to be tested. So if you have the appetite for that time period, while it is being developed, your business does not need to get online quickly, then by all means, it's okay. And then, of course, you are paying the development of programmers, or it may be a company, maybe not an individual, maybe a company that will bring about 6 or 5. So you pay them for providing you with such a solution that you've described to them, and then they, of course, so you may not have that skill set yet to be able to deploy stuff on the cloud, right? So they could have the skill set and then help you deploy that software on IaaS or PaaS, and then give you access to everything to manage on your own. Or you may choose to have them manage it on your behalf, right? So that's the difference. Go ahead.
So once they get down as a cloud engineer, you might not actually need those skills to be able to create something like that.
So yes, you do not need it, in fact, right? We have people who have chosen to be software developers. That's an area in IT, that's what they do. But as a cloud engineer, cloud administrator, right, you'll be the ones to deploy the infrastructure, right? Like I said, if you want to create a VM, you click, possibly create a VM. I want this operating system. By the time the VM is being created, I want this size of hard disk. That's the OS disk, where the OS reside. Yes, so that's what you, the cloud engineer, will do. So if you can do that, fine. Then you give them the access to help you deploy the software on it, right? But you need to have that skill first to be able to, which is why we are saying if you are looking to transition into cloud computing as a career, then of course you have to, even software developers learn, right? They learn how to code. So you, of course, must know, if you're going into that path, must know how to deploy, manage, monitor infrastructure on the cloud platform. So it's a skill that you learn. Yeah, okay. Anybody has any other question? Okay.
So in the event that maybe higher developers create certain.
Please, can people hear you in the different locations? Can you signify, please? Maybe just wave your hand wherever you are so that they can get your question. Is anybody waving? I'm not sure they can hear your question. Yeah, so huh? It's mute. But they can hear. Yeah, so if they can hear me, can they just, signify that you can hear the question? Somewhere, okay, there's a message. Okay, go on.
So, picking up from a question, the event that they need to deploy developers in the software, and the cloud solution architect, being like product owner for the company when they are doing that, or it's a company that will be in direct contact with the developer.
Yeah, no, I was just asking, because they're asking questions, I wanted to be sure that they can hear them. So, okay. Yeah, can the cloud solutions architect be product owner?
Developing that software for the company, or it has to be.
It has to be from the no. So when you say product owner, company A, right, is seeking to leverage company B, which is a software development company, right? An individual here must be the product owner, because he or she has to understand the workings to be able to market and sell that product or that solution by the time it's done. So maybe they need to understand some things, some nitty-gritty, right? These people will do your work and go away, unless you want to keep them on a retainership basis to say, oh, okay, the software is okay. We need another feature that customers are beginning to ask us to implement, right? Then you call them back and they can do it for you. But the product owner is that company itself, but then you can have an individual as a representative who is like the product manager for that particular, that particular product itself. Yeah, so that's how it works. Okay.
Yes, sir. So isn't it that the cloud engineer is only one of software to be able to advise you?
No. It's an advantage, but you don't need to. There's nothing. You are just concerned with infrastructure that is running efficiently, is running smoothly, is well secured. You are monitoring it in terms of performance. Everything is working okay. That is what. But the software person is a different person entirely. Their roles are different. Yeah. Okay.
My question is this.
Okay.
There are many things that are being used today. And I think I appreciate the fact that when you started, you need of certain examples that makes it very, very clear. For example, about the hybrid, the public and the other ones using the vehicle.
Yes, yes.
It makes it very clear.
Okay.
So because I'm making use of this Google Drive, and I understand
Okay.
the software as a
Service.
but this infrastructure as a service, please.
Okay, so let me explain it again. It was the question she asked first. So let me explain again. Now, the software as a service, that software is running, it can't run in mid-air. It has to run from a server somewhere, right? So what this software as a company, what they are selling is they are selling that Google, that's the solution that is visible to the customer, right? So, but you want, let's say you want your own storage software. You don't want to leverage the Google Drive for whatever reason, right? Then you get software programmers, right, to come in and develop a software that probably mimics the Google Drive or Outlook or email or what have you, right? And then deploy it on the infrastructure. You know, if you're using your laptop, you download the software, you install it. That's called deployment. You're installing that software on. So it's the same thing there. This what do you call it? Sorry? Sorry? EI list. Like Uber, yes. So and the rest of them, right? So leveraging or pass as a service. So their software is running on there, right? And because it's available to you and every other person on a public cloud, once you have that software on your phone, you can make use of that software, right? So as many people as possible. So as people come on board, right, they're able to scale. And by scale, I mean your resources are able to expand to deal with the large request for using, you know, maybe Uber. You have 1 million users within 1 hour. You don't want a situation where somebody is calling for a cab and it keeps rolling because there are so many people. That's why you can leverage the cloud where it can auto scale. When I say auto scale, it can, yes, increase more resources to deal with the traffic that is coming in. But if you're on premise, you can't easily do that. You know, when you see that happening, then you have to start thinking of, oh, we need to purchase another server. How long will it take to get here? Is another thing. Can you get the Forex on time? You will come in maybe about 4 weeks before you set it up here and test it, 6, 7 weeks. And people might be frustrated with the solution that you're offering or the service. Right? You don't want that kind of thing happening to your business. Does that clarify things?
This is your most last.
Yes.
Okay, let's just take this time. What where you are the questions.
I will answer them at the end. Yeah. Okay.
Just note the slides and the questions. So when it's done with slides, you can take this question.
Okay, somebody wanted to ask a question.
Okay, that's from because let's just
okay. All right. So cloud providers, we've been talking about cloud computing. There are cloud providers that provide these services. Not changing. Okay. Okay. So, or can I stop sharing and try and share again? Yeah, because they need to see the slide. So understand.
Can you notice my movement of people on the other side? The slides, can you back from the screen?
Full screen, yeah. Yes, so I'm not seeing anything else. Well, let me check.
That's what sharing.
Okay. Please just give me a. Okay, every screen is dark here. Hope the network is. So I'm not seeing.
Now, we have some centers where with their hands raised up. We have American Center and we have this Jigawa. And I think we also have some questions. Okay, the person says, please try to repeat the questions asked so that we can hear it better because those asking the questions are far away from the mic. Okay, so I'm sure the presenter, the facilitator would note that. Although we're also trying to manage the crowd, the timing also. So Mr. Yodele, are you ready to take some of the questions? We have 2 hands raised up. Hello.
Okay.
Are you referring to me?
Yeah, I said there are some hands raised up. Are you ready to take the questions?
We are not taking questions now. He's done with his slides, then we can take them all together.
Okay, all right then.
We taking questions in say 20 minutes.
Okay. All right. Okay, so I was at cloud providers. All right. So cloud providers are the organizations that provide this cloud computing platform that we've been talking about, and it's good to understand that there are more than one of them that provide this service to numerous customers and clients around the world. So these are just a few that I have here. You have AWS, you have Azure, you have IBM Cloud, VMware, you have Google Cloud, DigitalOcean, you have Alibaba, you have Oracle Cloud, you have, what's this one here? So there are quite a number of them, right? Please, which ones are you familiar here? Are you familiar with here that you heard of? Sorry? Google Cloud. Okay. AWS, somebody mentioned it. What about Azure? You're familiar with IBM? Okay. What about Azure? Azure. Okay. DigitalOcean? Okay. iCloud. So that is some of them for cloud computing. AWS is Amazon Web Service. So I'm just choosing these 3 because they are the most popular, right? Or can I say the biggest? Not in terms of how much they make, but in terms of the market share that they control, right? Amazon Web Service is one of the leading and most widely adopted cloud computing platform. In fact, they started, AWS started this service, this platform, because of the revenue that they had begun to get from there. The other big companies who had the capacity to set up such a service also jumped on board, right? So they offer a vast array of cloud services and infrastructure options to businesses and developers. And then you have Azure. Azure is from Microsoft, also very popular. Azure is my primary. I started with Azure. Azure was my focus, before I later also adopted AWS, right? So the cloud platform Azure is a strong competitor to AWS, and that is true, and provides a wide range of services, particularly well integrated with Microsoft software products. The popular operating system out there, Windows Server is an operating system. So you can imagine how efficiently it will work with, I'm providing something and I'm also providing a software. Because I'm providing a software first, I can make it cheaper, right? And you know that other cloud providers, AWS, Google Cloud, would also, for customers who want Windows Server, right? And so if AWS was providing their own software, they'd probably be able to, you understand? So they have their own software product that is, first of all, from a cost perspective, is lower. I mean, because they're all in competition. So, because I can't give you a very good price and you compete with me in this same cloud computing space, right? It doesn't make business sense, right? But of course, AWS has its benefits, its pros and cons, Azure and Google Cloud as well. So you just have to find out, understand what they are, and then make an informed decision there, But for me, from a personal preference, because I started with Azure and I have most of my background from there, I tend towards Azure when I'm talking to customers, right? And Azure is very, very big. Like I said, it has a wide range of services, very wide, and they keep adding new services every day, right? AWS is also big. They have millions of customers around the world. I think the majority of their customers from the US as well, because, they started from there. Azure as well, but Azure also had to quickly go into other regions to try and capture the market. And the Google Cloud Platform is also popular. It offers a suite of cloud services and tools for computing, for storage, machine learning, and more. People or businesses usually leverage it for its strengths that it offers around data analytics and machine learning services. Don't get me wrong, other services, other providers also offer, data analytics as well with machine learning. But sometimes you need to know your strength and know what you want to push out there, especially if you're all competing around the same space, right? So they are very well known for their strength around that area, and people leverage it also because of that. Also, like I said, the top three are in no particular order are AWS, Azure, and Google Cloud, right? And because of the market share, AWS was the first to start, and then they popularized it and it gained a lot of, customers along the years, right? So they have about 30% of the market share, followed closely by Azure. Azure is gradually catching up, 20 to 25%, and then Google Cloud, 9 to 10%. And the others, so many of them, Alibaba is a cloud platform from China. There's VMware, there's IBM, they're also there, they have their dedicated customers, but they're not as popular as these three around the world, and the market share that that they control, right? So AWS, Azure, and Google Cloud. I'm not saying one is the first, I'm not saying one is the second, I'm just saying the top three, but of course, you find the one that would provide you the best in terms of maybe cost and the services that are available, and then you go ahead with that, Which brings me to careers in cloud computing, which I think a lot of you are interested in. if you are willing to make that move and transition into the cloud space. Of course, like I said, there are the 3 top ones. If you like, you can go and choose VMware or IBM, but you don't have a lot of companies who are leveraging them. So it makes sense to try and go for the ones that are in the top 3. So just to mention a few here, you have the cloud architect, cloud engineer, cloud security specialist, cloud data engineer, cloud administrator, cloud network expert, cloud solutions architect, cloud support engineer, and for cloud architect, they design and implement cloud solutions for organizations, right? They create cloud strategies, choose the right services, and ensure security and scalability. So what they do is, of course, they listen to the business. What is this business trying to do? What are they trying to offer? So businesses will tell you, please, our data is so sensitive that our security is of paramount concern to us. We don't care about how much it costs, right? But we cannot afford anything. So for this one, because you know that cost is not an issue, then you can leverage strong solutions around security services for them that will help protect their workload, especially if they have sensitive data, right? And also, they could tell you, oh, within the next, we started with 100 customers today. Within the next 6 months, we expect 1,000 customers. That means that in the next 6 months, they're expecting that there'll be more demand on the resources that they have, right? And you need to be able to ensure that whatever the solution is, it can easily scale, because you don't want customers coming back to you to say, I clicked on, I tried to log in and it takes 3 minutes before it's, no, that is not good for business. So the architect comes in, looks at all that and say, okay, I need to set up some kind of automated scalability in place, have a load balancer of some IaaS, maybe virtual machines behind that. If requests are coming in behind the load balancer, you probably have three or 2 servers behind it, right? So when a request comes in, the load balancer directs the traffic to this place. Another request comes in for a customer, directs it to you. So it load balances, right? Rather than one instance taking care of that request, because if it's too many, by the time this one is trying to process that request that came in, right, other requests are already coming in, and because you probably do not have a mechanism in place to queue it, then that particular request might get lost in the network, right? So businesses leverage that a lot to ensure that they are available and able to serve as many requests as possible, right? So there's what we call a load balancer. It's available on AWS, Azure, Google Cloud. Once that request comes in, it distributes traffic between the number of machines that you have in the pool, right? So everybody, including the users and customers, have a good experience of using the solution. Cloud engineers build and maintain cloud infrastructure. They work on network configurations, manage resources, automate tasks using cloud platforms like AWS. So they are skilled. You have to build them. There are a bunch of learning resources out there. On Azure today, if you're an AWS, if you're serious on going through this career path, they offer free trial where you can come in and deploy whatever you want. I think Azure is about $200 trial. You can speed up whatever you want for learning purpose, right? And you have a good learning material. You can create labs. You create your free trial account. So they don't charge you. They don't charge you for that 30 days. After that 30 days, if you continue using it, of course, you begin to charge you because they're also trying to run a business, right? But at the same time, they are trying to bring a lot of people onto the platform. So you want to experience it. You want to experience what they offer, So a lot of training resources out there that you can spin up your cloud at zero cost to you, and then just learn as much as possible. Cloud security, like I said, security is also a very a skill that is in high demand. Like I said, there are so many bad actors out there who are looking to cause damage. And so you need to have good security specialists who understands the environment well, and then be able to secure your workloads that you have there, guide against attacks, set up some monitoring tools in place that, so there are certain tools that can, developed by the security, the cloud security specialist, where if you are having too many, maybe like somebody who is trying with username and password from a location there, you know that something is wrong. Because normally a human being, if he types a username and password, will wait a while, but if you are seeing up to about 20 tries within 5 seconds, that's abnormal, right? So in that scenario, you'd have a kind of solution that will send an alert to the security specialist to say something is happening, somebody or something. It could be a bot, right? Or a program that somebody has coded that keeps trying different username and passwords until it hacks. So, which is why we say don't use weak passwords, right? As a good company, ensure that you have complexities. Use uppercase, use lowercase, use symbols, use numbers. Make it complicated. You see people who have deployed stuff on the cloud and they're using password at 1 or password 123. Those are very those are very simple passwords to guess. And then once there is a breach and they come there, they lock your files, they tell you pay something in crypto, $10,000 or more dollars. And if you're a struggling company, you're in trouble if you're not able to pay. And invariably that will affect your system and shut you down. Okay, it's trying to connect again. Okay.
Thank you, Sean.
Okay, then you have your cloud data engineer. This is somebody who collects data and analyzes it and provides it in a format that is easily understood by the business, for instance, the CEO, the CFO. You see, data is the new gold, and this is a field that is also in very high demand. People keep collecting data, customer data, different data. And in this day and age, you don't want to be left behind. You want to know what your data is trying to tell you, right? So let me give you an example there. I have a soft drink company, and I sell more soft drinks within a particular time of the year in 2 or 3 states in Nigeria. You understand? And at the same time, I'm not doing so well in some states. I know that, yes, revenue is coming in, I'm making money, but certain states are buying my drinks more than other states. So that's an example of what having insights, having analysis of your data done to say, this is happening here, this is that. So you as a business or as a CEO needs to make that decision. Try and find out, why are we not selling here as much as we are selling there? What is the characteristics, or what are the characteristics of that place that we are selling so much and not selling here? So when you have visibility into what your data is trying to tell you, then as a business, as a chief financial, CFO, CEO, marketing officer, you need to now take a conscious effort to say, what do we need to do to ensure that we improve our sales in this particular area or region, right? So that's just an example, but there are so many areas where data is being generated and people need to see insights and they want to get, and it's a skill that is in high demand, especially if you are leveraging analytics tool that most of these cloud services provide. right? Azure provides, AWS provides, for example, there's Synapse, there's Data Factory, blah, 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 blah. So once you understand that, and because most likely it's a large voluminous data that needs to be processed, right? You can't just, if you say you want to start purchasing storage devices on premise, I mean, before you know it, you've maxed out the storage, right? You need to consider buying another one, which is quite on the high side because of the cost of, because of the exchange rate now. So why don't you leverage cloud storage? Cloud storage is very cheap. A terabyte of data may just be about maybe 50 cents a month, and you want to be able to collect as much data while not breaking the bank. But it's important that you know what is happening around your business through data analysis. So that's another field that is in demand there. Cloud administrator. This is the person who administers the resources, ensuring that they operate smoothly. So they handle tasks like provisioning. You can provision a virtual machine. You can provision some platform as a service. You can provision a lot of things that is required. You can provision firewall to protect something. So you are responsible for that, right? And then you monitor how they are working. And if there are issues, you also will be required to help to troubleshoot and resolve whatever issues arise. Cloud solutions architect, design end-to-end solutions. So like I said, I'm a cloud solutions architect. I started as, you could say, cloud administrator, right? And then I made the conscious effort because I wanted specialty in that area, So I'm familiar. So for you to be a solutions architect, you have to be familiar with a lot of the services that cloud platform provides, so that when a client is talking to you, you're already thinking, okay, the client wants to be able to scale automatically. Okay, they will need this kind of service. They are looking at if they grow in 6 months and they have a lot of customers, what do you need there? And you're thinking, scalability. Okay, what can provide scalability? Virtual machine skill set or app services, but it needs to be behind the load balancer to direct traffic. So that those are the things that you are thinking. And when you have a clear understanding of what that customer needs, then you draft out a document, you have a design document, you have an architecture that is showing the different components, your firewall, your instances, your load balancer, your content delivery network, and a whole lot of other things, so that at the end of the day, you've captured all their requirements from the beginning. And you can even advise, right, as a solutions architect to say, what about this? What don't you think is important? Some customers will say, no, don't leave it out. We don't have the money, right? This is just what we want. But as a solutions architect, you have to be able to advise accordingly and say, this is okay for you based on this concern that you have, this trade-off, you are not able to spend too much. But these are the potential things that can happen, and you need to take that into cognizance so that you are not surprised in future. And then the cloud support engineer. So the support engineer provides technical assistance to users of cloud services, helping them resolve issues and optimize their cloud environment. So something like what the administrator does, you provide support. Something's not running very well on cloud, it's giving me an error. The support engineer will come in and take a look at that. So you have some companies that basically all they do is they recruit people, train them as support engineers. Like this one we have in Nigeria. Has anyone heard of Tech Expert or something? So that's what they do. They get a bunch of people, train them in different areas. If it's for virtual machine, they train you. If anything happens and they wake you from your sleep tomorrow, you're able to come and deal with that issue. If it's network, you're a network support engineer, and so on and so forth. So once you, so you can choose to be a support engineer, focusing on a particular area, and not go, so every field is really in demand. And companies are adopting the cloud daily, and they're looking for experts or specialists who they can bring in to help manage their resource. And a lot of foreign businesses, companies are leveraging us in Africa here So now is the time to jump on board because they are looking for, and you know, maybe ordinarily what they pay for about 10,000 here, they pay 8,000 here. You know, so for them, it's the cost of labor is lower for them, but they get this skill and the service that they are looking for. So this role encompass a wide range of skills and responsibilities, and they offer various career paths within the cloud computing industry. So the choice of a specific career in cloud computing depends on your interest, your skills. So you have to know, you know, make a conscious decision to say, this is the area I want to focus on. Don't be a jack of all trades, right? Choose this area, focus on it, learn it, and know it very well, you know. And then once you have that, let me not say the sky is not your limit, but, you know, beyond that. So average cloud computing career salaries, they earn quite a bit. They earn quite a bit in terms of dollars. Cloud architect, cloud data scientist, consultant, engineer. So if you divide that by 12, you're looking about 10, by 12 months, you're looking on the average about, for those ones that are 130 something, about $10,000 to $15,000 a month. Cloud automation engineer, software engineer, network engineer, security analyst, cloud support. Of course, it varies. Different businesses may offer more or may offer less, but this is just an average, you know. So it's really a good area if you're looking to transitioning and tailoring your career path towards cloud computing. Now, how to start a career in cloud computing? So what are the things that you need to do proactively on your side? You know the current rates now. Well, you don't collect, if you're in Nigeria, you don't collect in dollars anyway. Okay. So you won't collect as much as that, you understand? Okay, so to start a career in cloud computing, you need to develop a strong foundation, right? Learn the basics of computer science and networking. Understand fundamental concepts is essential for a successful career in cloud computing. So just have that foundation first. You know, some of you probably are about to go into the university or are currently there or the Polytechnic or you study computer science. That's a good base for you to start from. Or you've, you know, personally taken the time to upgrade your skill, knowing about computers and network. So you need to develop that strong foundation. Then you need to choose a cloud provider like I did. Cloud computing is dominated by this thing. Do you want to start with AWS first? Do you want to start with Azure, Google Cloud Platform? So choose one to focus on initially, but be open to learning about others as well as time goes on, right? Don't say jack of all, don't try doing AWS. No, just pick one, focus on it, learn it. I can tell you that by the time you understand the concepts and terminology of cloud in one provider, you'll be able to, you know, you'll be able to relate it with the other one because the names are just different, but they offer the same thing. So learn cloud services and technology. Start with the core services offered by your chosen cloud provider. This could include virtual machine storage, database, and networking. And then you can explore additional services, which I didn't mention earlier. There are quite a lot. AWS, Lambda, containers, app services, Docker, and Kubernetes, right? So you can learn them, but you just need to learn the basics first. Gain hands-on experience, create a free account, like I said, get some learning materials, Udemy, Pluralsight, and some people who just offer some kind of labs online. You know, learn it, get that free service, deploy, see how it works. And, you know, once you see that firsthand, that knowledge sticks and you know how to do that going forward. So many cloud providers offer free credits to get you started. Online courses and tutorials. Take, you know, some online courses and tutorials to build your cloud computing skills. There's Coursera, Udemy, EDX, Pluralsight. You know, you have to start from somewhere and you have to make that conscious effort to do that. Some are free, some are not, you know, and a lot of free ones are good as well, so you can leverage them. Consider getting cloud certifications by cloud provider. So they are the basic certification, the foundational certificates, that you can easily take. Just you can read up on it and then take the certificate. You don't need to do the more advanced specialist certificates, right? You start from Azure fundamentals. You start from AWS Foundation and all that. I can tell you, based on my experience, for me, when I'm looking to hire somebody, even if you're an intern, I try to look for how you have been proactive before. What have you been doing since you left school? Did you take the time to do trainings? Did you do some kind of certification? Yeah, some of them they've done foundation, which shows that this person is really taking this serious. So I can tell you that if you have that in your resume, that foundational course in any of these cloud provider, it really helps a lot because the recruiter knows that you are very serious about going down that career path. So it makes things more easier for him to select you based on that. Gain practical experience, internships, part-time job. If you're able to find the company, some companies do that. They hire interns, but they just don't want to hire interns who know next to nothing, right? You need to show that you've been proactive enough to do something, learn something, and then they can bring you on an internship program. And then, of course, if your performance is okay, they bring you in on board, or you can just take that knowledge elsewhere and then, begin to command the fee that you want. Build a portfolio, leverage your LinkedIn, right? Recruiters, both abroad and in Nigeria, look for where they go to is LinkedIn when they're looking to hire people who has that skill set that they want. So make sure you look good in your LinkedIn. You identify the skills you have there. You've done this, and most importantly, your certifications as well. They need to be very conspicuous there so that it's very visible for them to see what you have been up to. And then prepare for technical interviews, for cloud computing roles. No typical questions that they might ask and provide solutions for them. And so remember that the journey to career in cloud computing may take time, so be patient and persistent. Build a strong foundation and continuously improve your skills, as this will increase your chances of success in this dynamic and this in-demand field, right? So please, there are a bunch of courses that you need to take before this bootcamp expires. I think the list should be shared with you. If you don't have it already, maybe you'll get it by mail. So it's important that you take them, right, before you can get a certificate after the end of this, this four-week event. So please take advantage of them, learn. You have to make that conscious effort to start learning. There are materials around AWS, there are Azure, Google, and so on. So they are available for you to leverage. So maybe one or two questions quickly.
We have a lot of questions.
Yeah. Okay.
So we have from my degree.
Okay.
Yeah. Is Azure portable or it works only on Microsoft?
I don't understand what you mean by portable, but it can use it on any device. There's a portal.
Probably flexible.
Flexible?
Yes.
Okay, maybe flexible. Yes, very flexible to learn. But of course, you need to take that first step. Create an account. There's a free trial that they provide. Explore the dashboard, get the learning material, especially those that offer labs. Click, and then you begin to learn from there.
The other one says, is there any programming language required for choosing a career?
No, not at all. It's not necessary.
So the next says, is there a systematic way of maximizing security in IaaS and PaaS since it's being managed by two bodies?
Being managed by two bodies. What? That is not clear to me. But yeah, you need to maximize security. You need to know, for example, what kind of solution are you providing? Do you need to have a firewall in there? right? And there are certain ports that you are not supposed to expose to the internet, right? Those are ports that hackers are trying to target, So there are basic things that you need to understand, that you don't expose your machines or your solutions unnecessarily to the internet. There are some things that you need to put it behind firewall and only allow traffic from certain sources into that to reach those workloads. If not, please disable as much as possible, unless on a need to access basis.
The office from Joss said, what comparative advantages do these companies have over one another? They also said, how will you react to the question of deep data mining by these companies for business purposes? And lastly, do we have indigenous African Nigerian companies in business for cloud companies?
Okay. Yes, so we can say we have indigenous ones. There's one they call the main one, and there's Rackspace. They offer those services where they have the infrastructure there, then you can leverage them. But I'm not sure. I know maybe 80% of their customers will be resident locally here, but I'm not sure if they have foreign companies coming to leverage them rather than, and what they provide is just host. They have the infrastructure and you just host the application there. But in terms of analytics tools and all that, IoT, they don't do all that. So if you are looking at leveraging other third-party services, then you may not consider them, or rather just host your applications there, right? And then what's the first one again? Just quickly.
First?
Yeah, you asked 3 questions.
Okay, then what's comparative?
Yeah, so like I said, for AWS, Azure, because they are the owners of Windows Server software, right? So it tends to be, when you're paying the license on Windows Server, it tends to be cheaper on Microsoft Azure than the other platform as well, right? So in terms of operating system, Azure, really counts higher than that. And then the last one.
Yeah,
so I'll round up with that.
American said there's one person from you say you should take that. This is American Center because he said is the operational system we understand.
Yes.
Different from the cloud operating system.
It's the same thing.
So lastly, we take this question from Willow and America. You say please unmute and ask your question. You have just 20 seconds to ask questions. Make it quick. You say please unmute and ask your question. Okay. If Kevin is ready, Kevin is the question.
We are ready.
All right. Go ahead, please.
Sir, good afternoon. So what is the difference?
Good afternoon.
What is the difference between managed by you and managed by vendor?
Managed by.
Network is breaking. Anything
Again. Difference between managed by you and managed by vendor. I say, what is the
managed by you and managed by vendor?
Yes.
Yes. So the difference is being managed by you, and the other one is being managed by vendor. So on premise, if you have your infrastructure on your site within the country that you reside in, you are 100% responsible for it. Managing the infrastructure, managing network, managing the operating system, everything is by you. But managed by the vendor, from the operating system to the hardware infrastructure, that concerns them, right? So that's the difference, really. Does that answer your question?
Lastly, we're taking from Calabar. Please unmute and proceed with it. Calabar, please unmute and ask your question.
If it's not ready, we are ready here.
Okay.
I want to, my question is, what are the 3 common reasons for using cloud?
What are they?
Can you say again?
What are the 3 common reasons for using cloud?
Okay, the 3 common reasons. Okay, so I'd say one, you want to leverage the security services that the cloud provide. You know, is top notch. Like I mentioned in the slide there, security is not as security on premise is not as powerful as that which is deployed on the cloud. That's one. If you want probably your users to be able to work remotely, right, from anywhere around the world, you leverage the cloud from that rather than on-premise. And then thirdly, you want to thirdly, maybe you're looking at other tools that it's not easy to purchase at a bulk fee here. You know, some of this software you can pay on a monthly basis if you leverage the cloud. For example, there are some firewall tools that you have to pay a bulk fee to the vendor, you know, which runs into thousands of dollars. But if you're leveraging on the cloud, you're allowed to pay, right? And that makes it easier for you, the business, to be able to utilize such a solution, right? So those are the reasons there.
Okay, I think that would be all questions.
Okay.
This
We
one
have
is
questions. Hello, Adeni. We have question from Calabar on the chat.
I thought this person was.
Okay. Yeah. Good afternoon, everyone.
I think the difference between cloud providers and other platforms like Google Host and Heroku.
Google Host is a web hosting platform, as far as I know, right? You just bring in basically where you want to set up your website, right? You can also host your web applications or your website on any of these providers, right? But it's just that you don't have more control. Google Host will not give you that control at the operating system level and some other things, right? But for the cloud platforms, you have that level of control to do as much as you want, configure stuff, you know, update your patches and all that, you know. But you can't do that with restricted sites like Heroku and Google Host.
Okay, so back to the request, especially asking if they can have access to the slides.
Sure.
So we have it set across to the directors and the sharing.
Please, we have 2 people from Osogbo. 2 questions from Osogbo. Please, we have 2 people from Osogbo who ask questions to ask.
We have here from. We are ready. Can we go ahead?
We prepare for the new developers. Let's take the question from Osogbo. Is Osogbo okay, Osogbo, please.
Go ahead. We have 2 people, we take them one after the other, please. Yeah,
please, let's take one. You're eating 2 different times. Please.
Good afternoon. Please, my question is this. From your presentation, you made it clear that it is better to host your data on the cloud than on-premise. Now, I wanted to ask, is it that nothing can ever go wrong when your data is on the cloud? And if something goes wrong, like maybe the hackers strike vital information, what kind of remedy will the cloud providers provide? Or can you sue, or will they pay for damages? Thank you. Please, one more person.
Right. Okay, my question is, what's the role of AI platforms today? And what do you think?
Yes.
in the
This is
next
the second question. We are waiting for the second question, please. Okay, I think.
Okay, so data in the clouds gets destroyed, due to maybe a disaster, for example, right? So the cloud providers offer redundancy, something like a disaster recovery solution, right? So what that means is that because they have different data centers around different regions, Europe, US, Asia, and Africa, and some other. So you can choose to set up a disaster recovery solution. What that means is that as your data is being generated on the cloud, right, it will be replicated real time to another region, right? So what that means is that if a disaster happens, maybe flood or tsunami or whatever, destroys the data center in maybe West Europe, right? You already have a copy of it in East West, right? So all that will be done is just to switch over that disaster, and you are available up and running. So yes, they incorporate disaster recovery solutions for their customers as well. So you can leverage it.
So,
hello, can we go ahead? Go ahead, sir.
So my question is that, yes, my question is, what is the role of AI in cloud computing today? And what is going to be its impact in the next couple of years to come?
So AI is the is the way of the world now. So innovative solutions are coming in leveraging AI. So AI simplifies a lot of things. So there is a scare that AI will take over jobs, right? In this instance, for example, AI can help with identifying where, for example, for security, if you look at security now, when I said that some people are trying to brute force, username and password from somewhere within 20 seconds, right? It is the machine being intelligent enough to know that a human being cannot type that fast, that username and password in their console, right? So AI will say, no, it's not possible for a human to be able to do this, and then escalate that, either raise an alert or notification quickly to the recipient, right? So AI captures a lot of things. It makes a lot of things simpler. It helps automate process. It just helps humans to be able to work better and efficiently, right? So that's the future. Every solution now is incorporating one form of AI or the other, right? And it is good that everybody jumps on board to acquire some kind of skill set in AI and machine learning. That will also go a long way to help you selling yourself better as well. Okay?
Please,
right.
Please, you are here to attend to the first. Omosobo, you are here to attend to the first person's question, sir.
Sorry, Mr. Yodele. Yeah, this is Samuel from American Center. Please, we need to. Okay. It's already almost 12:30. I think whoever has questions should note them down. Next week, class, we still have 3 more weeks. So please, so that we have another program coming up almost immediately, so that we don't run into it.
All right, thank you, Mr. Samuel.
Mr. Samuel, you can also just on the
So Oshogbo, please, sorry, pardon us for this. Next week is another time. I'm sure Mr. Odele might also want to share his contact in case anybody wants to reach out to him directly with any questions, so as to buy time. And I think at this juncture, I don't know, Mr. Odele, do you have any final words to say for today?
Okay, thank you very much, I'm happy for this opportunity. I'm always excited when I need to say or do some things around cloud computing. So I just want to encourage everyone. It's not a bad career path. It's in demand now. You need to jump on board now. Some of the things I've said on how to, enter into that, what you need to do. Make sure you try and scale yourself up. Make sure you try and get some knowledge on your own. Don't wait for somebody to come to where you are and start teaching you. You need to take the bull by the horn, right? You need to really persevere and make sure that you get the required knowledge and skill, that is required for this industry, right? So let me congratulate you all in advance, because I know over 95% of you here are looking to transition into that place. So be steadfast and just keep on. And like I always say, beyond the sky is the limit. So thank you very much for attending. And
yeah, all right.
okay.
I want to appreciate Mr. Ayodele for this. You see, I wish you could see all the centers. It's been a very long time we have our center jam-packed like this. And that's to tell you that this is what a lot of people are interested in. And we are trusting God that at the end of the day, by the time we measure the performance, we'll say probably at least 10 cumulatively from all over the country would have made a career and be a success in the next couple of years in cloud computing. That is what the US government aims to achieve by this, to ensure we empower our young people, to ensure that they become better for themselves and do well in this. So this is just one way that the US government is making their impact in Nigeria, empowering people and ensuring that we become self-sustenance and reliant. So once again, I want to thank you, Mr. Adele, for your time. And I'm sure that next week will be much more interesting. So before Mr. Adele leaves, if you don't mind, I will ask our spaces to unmute themselves as we put hands together for Mr. Adele. I just want him to hear the claps. That is why I ask you to unmute. So please, if you can unmute, and let's clap. Give him a round of applause, please. Wow. Wow.
Thank you so much. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Then for those of us who are part of the Beyond Art Skill, soft skill for success in the marketplace, today is the last session. And that will start by 1 hour and 1:30 this afternoon. So please be part of it. Stay tuned. If you are still in the center, please remain put as facilitator comes in by 1:30 to round off the session. It's been an interesting 8-week journey. And today will actually be analyzing on the bug, an interesting one. Last week we looked at emotional intelligence. No, that was yesterday, emotional intelligence. And today will definitely be an interesting one. So thanks everybody and enjoy the rest of the day. Bye-bye.
Just give us 1 minute.
You can see different from different places they join all this. Yes. These are the kind of things that you never get it in the university because you don't have the time for that. You understand? I don't. Yes. And introduce skills. You have to read this. You have to.
Some
of the things we have studied in school, even when we are working, we don't have money. Yes. We start learning new skills. Yes. You know, that's they should apply, they should introduce some skills. Less stressful. Theory, reading theory. Now look at me now. Look at what I tell you. Look at what I tell you. Technology is easy and more productive, but that one is difficult and cumbersome and less productive. Look at what I just said, that you graduate from biology and you apply for a company or some organization to say, do you have computer? You understand? Look at it.
So the only
Where is the degree I have for the biology?